I actually once cut my robe off at the buttocks after some chili. I get it, it's not right. But man, I'll be honest. There's some people that I could care less what happens to them just because of how they act. For instance, is it wrong? Like people like Hitler? Is it wrong to go, you know what? I hope God takes you out tomorrow. You have like 15 people that you always hang out with, and you guys all know each other. There's 4 or 5 of them that are really good Christian folks. They're the ones that get made, oh, you don't, you're goody, whatever. They make fun of you a little bit because you're bleeding. But when push comes to shove, the person that's really needs some help, they're not going to go to those other people. They're going to come to one of those 4.
No, if their friends are drowning with them, they need someone that knows how to swim.
This is Talking Truth. Hey, everybody, this is Back to the Bible. This is Season 10, 2 Samuel. Arnie Cole is with me. I'm Dan Whitney, also known as Larry the Cable Guy. I'll give an accent if you want. Bryan Clark is over here. Can you see him in the camera?
There's a camera over there.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Look at this. This is the first time we've tried this on video.
I know, it's modern.
So I've worn my nice shirt.
Yeah.
I knew we were going to be on video.
Deodorant. He's got deodorant on today.
I'm all set to go, you know. And I would have dressed down, but I just came from a wedding. So this is what you get. But hey, we're trying video. We think video is pretty good. People like video. So we're going to do these on video. And these, I'm not trying to look cool. They're prescription glasses. So that's why I'm wearing them. So don't think I'm trying to be cool.
Weird.
Cooler and weirder. All right. Anyway, we are going to talk about leaders need to lead. This is 2 Samuel 10. And if you've joined us before, this is the first time on video, though. So Bryan is going to read the lesson, and then Arnie and I are going to ask questions. And so hope you get something out of it. And Bryan, go ahead. Take it away.
All righty.
This is the first time we've done video, though. And so we're a little choppy.
All right.
Let's hope that it goes well. I'm done.
All right. In our study of 1 and 2 Samuel, we have defined leadership in pretty general terms. Leadership is influence. We are called as Christians to influence others. So let's imagine the culture in which we live as a bus. What is our role on that bus? We might start by saying it's to love the other passengers. Well, that's good. I would say the Bible agrees with that. But what does that mean?
Yeah, who are these other passengers?
Let's get there.
Right?
I think this is a point of confusion for many Christians. To many, it means making sure everyone is comfortable. I mean, get them a blanket and a beverage and wish them happy travels. But there's a problem with that. As Christians, we know this culture bus is going to crash up ahead. So is it loving to make others comfortable on a bus we know is going to crash? Actually, that reflects more the idea of indifference than love. True Christian love would motivate us to seek to influence them to get off at the next bus stop and get on a different bus. What they really need is to get on the Jesus bus. To be a loving Christian means we seek to courageously influence others to change buses because we know that culture bus is headed toward a crash. To make others comfortable on a bus that's headed off the bridge, that's really not loving at all. It's more a form of apathy. I've entitled our series in Samuel, Courage to Lead. That's what leaders do. They lead. They influence others, and that takes courage. That's what we want to talk about in this episode. Chapter 10 is considered the last of what is called the middle section of 2 Samuel. It focuses on certain snapshots in David's life as king. They are not necessarily in chronological order, but more organized around themes. Starting in the next chapter, the book will take a significant turn. Nahash, the king of the Ammonites, has shown kindness to David, likely when he was a fugitive fleeing from Saul. Therefore, when Nahash died, David sent servants to console Hanan, his son. But Hanan's advisors worried that David was up to something, so they responded by dishonoring David's servants. They cut off half their beards and cut their robes off at the buttocks, like a miniskirt, then sent them back. David's motives were good. He was sincere in sending condolences. But because Hanan and his servants had evil hearts, they assumed David's servants had evil hearts. People tend to judge others according to their own worldview. Because they were evil, they assumed David's servants were evil too. Like many today, no matter how many times you try to do good, some will always read into it something evil because their own hearts are evil. So one thing leads to another, and the Ammonites go to war with David. Hanan feared that he couldn't defeat David, so he paid the Arameans to join him, creating a massive army. But David and his troops soundly defeat the Ammonites and the others who had joined them. One surprising moment in the story is when these words were spoken to David's troops. "Be strong. Let us show ourselves courageous for the sake of our people and for the cities of our God, and may the Lord do what is right in his sight." What is surprising is that those words came out of the mouth of Joab, David's commander. I mean, the last time we saw Joab, he had killed Abner in cold blood and was forced to take the walk of shame at Abner's memorial parade. He was a hard-nosed thug. What had brought about such a dramatic change in Joab? The simple answer is David. David had so influenced Joab, he had become a godly leader. Leadership is influence. When the others saw how decisively David defeated the Ammonites, they quickly surrendered and fled or made peace with David. Shalom doesn't just happen. David had to trust God and to fight for it. But God gave him a great victory that would once again deliver shalom to the land. You know, there will always be evil in this fallen world. Evil will always oppose the shalom God desires to see in the land. The culture is at war with God. The culture bus is headed for disaster. Like David, we must have the courage to step up and encourage others to get off at the next bus stop and get on a different bus. The only bus that leads to the life our souls long for is the Jesus bus. Our job as Christians is not to help people feel comfortable on the culture bus, but to have the courage to challenge them to change buses while they still can. Is it easy? No, but it is the most loving thing we can do. It takes courage to be a leader, and a leader doesn't stand by and watch while a bus full of people drives off the bridge. Leaders lead. That's what they do. Our calling is to influence others to find their lives in Jesus, not the lies and comforts of the culture. So, what about you? Who are you influencing these days? Are you just watching the culture bus go down in flames? Or are you actively trying to love others by telling them the truth? What God did through David is remarkable. So God can do amazing things through you if you have the courage to lead, to influence others to turn to Jesus and to find the life their soul longs for. You can do it. We know you can. All it takes is faith in Jesus and the courage to lead others. Let's bring in Dan and Arnie and let's talk about this. You know, guys, it's not loving to help others feel comfortable on the culture bus, is it?
No, it's not. When I hear this story, I mean, first of all, I actually once cut my robe off at the buttocks after some chili. Sat on the couch. I mean, I know it's not pertinent to the story, but I just want to let you know that I have cut my robe off at the buttocks.
The kids call it TMI, too much information.
I'm sorry.
And when they shaved their beards, it wasn't shorter. It was this way, half their face. So
what?
The beard, when it says they cut their beards in half,
right?
It doesn't mean they made them shorter.
Right.
They cut it off half their face. So half their face was bearded and the other half was shaven.
That's for real?
Mm-hmm.
Oh. No way.
Yeah, to shame them. That's what.
Really?
And then they made them walk home with their butt showing below the robe.
Wow. So they had to walk home with their butt showing and half their beard cut off.
Yeah, they don't even make it home. They hide them before they even get home.
Wow.
To save them the humiliation.
See, this is why we do the show.
Yeah, this is deep stuff.
I mean, I had no clue.
You have to go to school to get that.
That is true, though.
When we're talking about this, I'll tell you, the culture bus, and I know this is wrong, and this is why I always think of why Jesus is so unbelievable, There's people spitting on his face and they're crucifying him. He's like, forgive them. It's unbelievable, Arnie. And I'll be honest, some people today, yeah, I could care less if the culture bus went off the cliff and I wasn't on. You know what I mean? I just think sometimes, and I know it's wrong, and I don't want to think that way. I want to, but there's certain people. You want to tell them about Jesus. They're going to hate you for it. Get out of my face, and you want to do that. And then there's other times you're like, oh, you know what? You get what you deserve.
Get on that bus.
Get on the bus. See you later. You know what I mean?
Good luck.
Because there's so many evil, mean, horrible people, and I get it. Jesus loves them just as much as he loves me. And I got to tell you, that's a struggle that I have sometimes, is like wanting to pray for people and hope that, first of all, I do. I pray and I hope they find Jesus. But man, I'll be honest, and it's not right, and I work hard to not be that way, but there's some people that I could care less what happens to them just because of how they act, and that's not right. I get it, it's not right, but it's hard to do, is basically the point that I'm saying. I mean, I do my best, and I pray for people, and I want them to find Jesus, but I mean, for instance, is it wrong, like people like Hitler? Is it wrong to go, you know what? I hope God takes you out tomorrow. You're beyond. It's like how there's some people that God says they're done. There's no there's no turning back. They have what's it called when he just totally abandons them. Am I wrong?
Well, I think.
Do you even work here?
I think you make a valid point. There are people that are evil, and God doesn't like it either.
Yeah.
And I trust God to deal with that.
Right.
But that is an extreme. Most of what I'm talking about are your neighbors, people around you in your community.
That's what I'm talking about. I want them to go off the cliff.
Or nice,
no, I'm just kidding.
Or caring.
Right.
But Christians, I think, get confused into thinking love means we just want to be okay with everything they do. And it's like, that's not loving.
So. Right. No, I get that. I mean, I totally get that.
But on the other hand, today we have, I was talking to one of our younger staff people. I think she's in her mid-20s. And she said, what you don't understand is evangelism for my group is we're all about, I hope I say this right, at this age level that I'm in, she's saying, we're all about me being me, right, and you being you. So who am I to tell you, and maybe you've got your beads and crystals. Who am I to tell you how you should be? She said, evangelism is completely different nowadays. And Bryan, what I'm hearing you say is maybe we need to be bolder, but they're just going to turn you off if you don't let them me be me, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. There's a couple things to that. One is, why is it wrong for me to say to them that that's not really the best way to live, but it's okay for them to say to me that their way is right? In other words, they're doing the same thing to me as they're claiming I'm doing to them.
But in defense of them, they're the ones who are lost. So it's not fair. So how do you overcome that? Yes, they're arguing it's not fair. They're saying I shouldn't impose my beliefs on them, but in doing that, they're imposing their beliefs on me. Right. It's okay for them. It's not okay for me. That's the hypocrisy of that. But I'm not advocating yelling at them, knocking on the door and giving them what for. I am saying build relationships, care about them, but care enough to tell the truth and not affirm things that ultimately are going to. Right. We know they're going to destroy them. Unless the Bible's not true,
This is going down a bad
So
path.
basically, if you see them and they're doing this, and you know it's going to destroy their life because it always destroys it, you can't go, well, it's okay. Jesus loves you anyway. He is love. It's all about love. It's kind of like the little kid keeps running out in the street, so you got to spank him to keep him from going out in the street because that's the only. And people will go, oh, you're spanking this kid. Well, you know what? That's love. If I didn't do that, he would not run out into the street and get killed. So, yeah, kind of like that, right?
Yeah, in some ways, it's as simple as we should not be affirming things that offend God.
Right.
That's just not
So in other words,
loving.
affirming any action that goes contrary to what Jesus says is not love.
Yeah, I don't need to stop them on the street and yell at them. And I have lots of friends that are unbelievers,
Right.
that have a really different worldview than me, but we're friends.
Absolutely.
And in the process of that, I want them to trust me enough to allow me to tell them the truth. They may or may not accept it.
Right.
I'm not wanting to charge in,
Right.
yelling hellfire.
Which you
everything
shouldn't
else.
do, but just throw out little nuggets along the way and get them every now and then questioning what you just threw out there just nonchalantly.
Yeah, if you go back to the imagery, they're on the bus. We know the bus is going to crash.
Right.
It's not really loving to tuck them in and give them a little something to drink and hope they have a nice day.
Right.
It's like, I know it's going to crash.
Right.
In the same way, it's like, I know this lifestyle isn't going to deliver what you want it to deliver. So can I help? And sometimes they don't want help, and I can't force myself into that. But I think Christians would be surprised how many people do want help. They're confused, they're scared, they're miserable, they're unhappy.
Right.
It's like if somebody cared enough to talk to them, people may be more open than a lot of Christians think.
Well, yeah, it's like that's happened before. You have like 15 people that you always hang out with, and you guys all know each other. And you know who there's 4 or 5 of them that are really good Christian folks. At some point, they're the ones that get mad. Oh, you're a goody or whatever. They make fun of you a little bit because you're But when push comes to shove, the person that's really needs some help, they're not going to go to those other people. They're going to come to one of those 4.
No, if their friends are drowning with them, and they need someone that knows how to swim.
And so you're living testimony to them, even though you get shot down and you get ridiculed every now and then, you're still friends. Eventually, they're going to need something. They're going to need fulfilling. They're going to have some problems, and they're going to be searching, and you're going to be the one they come to, the one that they would make fun of and ridicule. Generally, they're going to come to you and not one of the others.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, guys, coming from someone who walked away from Jesus till I was 47, when I hated Christians, the thing I hated about Christians was it wasn't the affirmation or we're there. It was, if you don't change your evil ways, you're going to go to hell. And as non-believers, we used to call them Bible thumpers.
Right.
And coming from a very strong Christian background, it's one thing to say and to be an example, you can come to me. But it's another thing to throw the scripture at people or don't you know that you're going to end up in hell? Basically, over time, you get a feeling that you're being so judged. The last thing you'd ever do is turn to someone that's so judgmental and unaccepting that it creates instead of a bridge to Jesus, it actually creates a mess to get to Jesus.
Right. Yeah, I don't think anybody's advocating if you don't change your ways, you're going to hell.
A lot of our audience.
Well, I'm talking about us
3
here.
Yeah.
I don't know who's listening, but it's like I'm 66. I don't think I've ever said that to someone. It's more building relationship, fishing together, horsing together, spending time together.
And then you keeping your testimony and just throwing little seeds out.
Yeah.
You know, my wife's good at that. Kara's good at doing that.
she is.
Kara is so good. My wife is so good at going to lunch with people and just something will come up in conversation. And she'll say, well, you know, that's why I became a Christian. I'll be honest with you, because I searched that out and Jesus was, but that's, you know, that's what did it for me. You know, you might want to search just this one little aspect of it. But anyway, hey, I'll have the roast, you know, and then move on to something else, and then you go to one, and you're getting the relationship. You're still friends, but you're throwing out those good seeds and bits and pieces, where eventually they'll want to know even more. And that's why when we do the show, and we always tell people that are listening, now is the perfect time. Now's the perfect time to witness to people with your attitude, because people are scared, people are lonely, people searching for happiness. And if you're a Christian, you're going to heaven. I mean, you're a Christian. You should be upbeat and you should be happy, and you should, you know, I mean, because people are going to see that and they're going to want to know, why are you different than everybody else? You're not yelling, you're not screaming, you're not, well, I'll be honest with you. The little thing called Jesus happened. You know, there's a song by Baylor Wilson called Jesus Happened. And it's so true. Jesus, it happens. You just, and that's how you lead other people to Jesus, is just being, you're right, Bryan, just being a friend. I've got a lot of unchristian friends too, but just being a friend, throwing out little pieces here, little pieces there. Now, initially when I said, what about people like Hitler? You want them to go, I mean, now let me go to that extreme for a second. If there's a very evil person, is it wrong to like go, you know what? I could care less. I hope they go off the cliff. Is that wrong to do?
Well,
even though they're affecting so many people's lives in a negative way.
Yeah. I mean, I would turn them over to God. I mean, Paul even says in Corinthians, he turned someone over to Satan for the destruction of his flesh. I would turn them over to God, and I trust God to do what he needs to do with them.
Right. Well, and that's what makes Jesus so awesome. I mean, just what they did to him, and he's like, forgive him, I love him. I mean, you know, really makes me feel like about 2 inches tall when I get petty over something somebody did to you. You know, it's like, ugh.
So let's go back and put Kara on the culture bus. Because to me, she's the model of what we're talking about.
Right.
She would never.
I'm gonna take her nightgown and cut it all the way down to the.
Yeah, well, you do that at home.
Not on camera.
Yeah. She would never just make people comfortable on that bus and let them crash. That's not who she is.
No.
But she would very skillfully build relationship with them and genuinely care about them. But to influence them to get on a different bus while they still can. That's, you know, I grew up in the fundamentalist movement, so it's not hard to relate to what Arnie's saying. There was
me too.
Knock on the door and let them have it. But Christians have to be more skillful today. They have to be more thoughtful about, you know, people don't even sell cars that way anymore.
Right.
You know, there's Christians that are still sharing the gospel like people used to sell cars 40 years ago. And it's like, they don't even sell cars that way anymore. It's like we have to be more skillful, but I do think there's a lot of confusion with a lot of Christians thinking love means anything's okay. And I don't think that is loving.
Right. I don't either. But for instance, when Joab changed because of David's attitude and
dramatic change.
Yeah. So here's a guy that was like evil, and just the testimony of David and the way he acted and the way he operated in his life. Joab was like, I want that. That's what I want, and completely changed this whole. And that's what we can do in the culture that we're in. We can change the culture. if we have enough gumption to do it.
Yeah, I think a lot of Christians are just washing their hands of it.
Right.
And they're ready to be done. And it's like, that's not what Jesus would do.
Right.
He got in the middle of it. And strangely enough, when Jesus walked on this earth, it was the sinners and tax collectors and prostitutes that couldn't get enough of him.
Yeah.
They were attracted to him. It was the religious leaders that didn't want anything to do with him.
Well, it's amazing.
I don't think it'd be that different today, probably.
No, I don't either. So, man, the first one on video is pretty good, Arnie.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's a good lesson right there, man. If you're searching right now, I mean, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. Nobody goes to the Father but through him. And we all know that. But for you Christians that are listening, man, we know it's hard. It is hard to witness to people. You don't want to be hated. I get it. But, man, just be a friend to people and, man, let your Christian testimony shine. Don't be rough. Don't be rude. What does it have? The wisdom of a snake and the gentleness of a pigeon, whatever that verse is. Matthew
dove,
10, 16, 15,
pigeon,
around
could
in
be
there.
a pigeon.
Yeah, but that's how we have to do it.
I think ask lots of questions.
And
That's a really good
About
way to do
them.
it. About them.
Yeah, I think that's the key is, at least when we do a lot of research, we find people are very quiet about their Christian faith. I mean, people that read the Bible every day,
Right.
and they just stopped talking to people. And I don't think that's biblical. I don't think that's what God wants us to do.
Right.
And then in the back of their mind, well, it's kind of like lifestyle evangelism, they used to call it. If I'm quiet and just sit back and just, really be cool, chill, that's good enough. And really, in this culture, at least what our research shows is just life just passes them by. They're not relevant in anybody's life. And so it's more than just sitting back and trying to look good.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. And I think what you said before about like pursuing people, asking them questions, getting to know them. We our age, our generation was trained more like a salesman.
Yeah.
But I used to teach a Wednesday night class, and I used to encourage people, like think of the people next door you work with. Instead of thinking, how do I get an opening to lay it on them? Think about, how can I pursue you? Ask questions, get to know them, and see if you can ask 20 questions without sharing the gospel. And what people find is it doesn't take that long till things get more serious. And often people are like, I couldn't even go 20 questions before they brought it up. So I think it can be done, but it has to be done differently. And I think we're so selfish and individualized that when you listen to somebody and you pursue them, it's like nobody does that. I think it's very affirming to them.
Absolutely.
And they often will respond back to that.
What I think is interesting with you two guys who I've known for a long time, you're almost the exact opposites. Dan is an extrovert. He's out there. He's everybody's best friend. And when I gotten to know about you, Bryan, you're kind of an introvert.
Yeah, not even kind of.
Yeah.
I am.
I wanted to be blunt.
I don't know if you know, he lives right there.
Right.
And I know people are probably listening, oh, it's easy for Bryan because he's a pastor and he's out there and he's out in front. Well, for Dan, being an extrovert, it's not easy because that goes the other way. But with you, Bryan, your inclination is that lifestyle, say nothing, right? I mean, don't you fight just wanting to chill out in a corner?
Well, I think introverts love people. They're not social butterflies.
I'm going to have to use that.
But I've always had deep friendships.
That's
I
true.
love people. I think introverts have a pretty good antenna when things are getting awkward. So like when I'm with someone that starts sharing the gospel and you can tell the other person's getting uncomfortable or offended, It's like,
So you're not so
Slow down
basically,
here a little
you're not
bit.
the guy at the party going, "Hey, it's Teresa's birthday."
no. But I think, another thing that defines my life is I have lots of hobbies and interests, and that's a great way to meet
That's
people,
true.
and you share
Right.
common interests, not necessarily valid common interests. And pretty soon you're just having conversations. They're coming over for dinner. You get to chat about things. That's more me. I'm just not a real social butterfly.
For you guys
big,
that don't
big
know,
shock.
Brian has a job on weekends as the statue holding the musket out in front of the courthouse by the bench.
Yeah,
Oh, you got promoted, huh?
with half a beard.
On one face with his rug cut off at the butt cheeks.
I knew you'd finish with that.
All right. Listen, hey, look, that's a wrap on this one. This is a good conversation,
Yeah.
fellas. Enjoyed it. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And until we come back in 2 weeks, remember, love takes guts. Real love takes guts. So lead the courage, speak the truth, and point folks, obviously, to Jesus. So remember, somebody's always watching you. If you say you're a Christian, somebody is always watching you. So just be a good testimony in your walk. All right. Until then, we'll see you later. Get her done.
Get her done.